Ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Back in the field with the track stars, Ryan Righteous, Sean Tanner, DJ Jeremiah. All right.
Hey.
We got an in-studio guest we want to get to know a little better. Take it away, Ryan.
All right. So joining us in the studio today is Rob Gaines, and he does producer work for J Kwest, Breathe Easy, Pure Music. And we're excited to have you in the studio. Tell us a little bit more about what you do.
Well, like I said, man, I'm a producer primarily, but really, I think music, the way we create it is everybody's all in, and so sometimes I make contributions lyrically, which is very, very rare. Very rare. Not like I rap, not like that, but change that word because that doesn't sound good. Or this hook is weak. Let's work on the hook.
Yeah.
So it's a group effort, man. But at the end of the day, these guys write. I provide the music, and we just see what the Lord does, man.
So how did you meet J Kwest and all of them?
The truth?
Yeah.
Julian, or J Kwest, man, was a year ahead of me at Morehouse, and we had a poetry class together.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
and the guy was phenomenal because he writes lyrics, so he wrote really good poetry. And the end of our poetry class, it was spring of 2005. He was like, yo, I got this album coming out. I was like, okay. I didn't know he was a rapper at the time. I was like, cool. And he was like, yeah, it's kind of gospel, but I don't like to call it that because people always reject me when I say that.
Right.
Okay. So it was 2020. Man, and I wrote all summer to that album. So that was how we met. I was a very, very bad producer at the time. But I kept pestering him like, yo, I want to work on your next project. He was like, yeah, but you're not good. But I just got better, and he started to kind of, I'm like, all right, you're not so bad. So I ended up with one track on R&B, and then I did the majority of Batman and Batman. And so now we're just good friends, man, and make music together as well.
All right. And who else you working with?
Breathe Easy, who's out of Chicago as well. He's an incredible rapper. And then I work with an artist out of Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina. Her name is Wisdom, and she's dope as well.
That's what's up.
That's about it.
All right, this is something that we've been talking about a lot recently. Like we said last week, we did the line for line with Lil Jon versus Ziglag, and we just talked about early 2000s, even before that, Christian production wasn't ready.
Mm-hmm.
What we keep saying with these line for lines is that it's not just the artists that need to get better, but the producers that need to get better. What inspires you to be a producer as a Christian and continue to get better to put out a good product?
Well, I think initially for me, man, hip-hop as a culture just struck me. I'm an 80s baby, so I grew up listening to pretty much everything I could get my hands on. Some of it my parents didn't approve of, but I was still sneaking it here and there. And I was really working on secular music up until my junior year of college. And this guy, man, who I knew, just kind of pulled me to the side one day and was like, yo, I think you should really do music for the Lord. And I was like, I mean, how? Because I don't know any Christian artists, and everything I've heard is corny.
Right.
He's like, no, just give it to the Lord and watch what he does with it. So instead of quitting, which I was on the verge of doing because I just wasn't happy, because I was like, if I can't let my mom listen to it, it's probably not right.
Right.
So I almost quit, but I was like, all right, Lord, let's see what happens. As soon as that happened, I met Jay. And I had like this 2 or 3 year window where I was just working on my craft. And for me, it was like, okay, anything we do, we should do with excellence. And if we're doing it for God, we should especially do it with excellence. And so that really inspires me, man. Like, if I'm going to do it for God, I got to make sure I'm doing the best I can do. I don't think I'm the greatest producer, but I know that I've worked to give it my all.
So how long ago was it when you actually got started?
Production-wise or Christian hip-hop?
Production.
16.
Okay. And what about the Christian hip-hop? Like, when did you?
19.
At 19.
Yeah.
Now, based off of where you were then, you said you were developing. How do you compare yourself to today? Like, how much of a difference has it been?
A huge difference, man. I've always loved music, but I'm not like musically gifted. At least not in a traditional way. I can't play any instruments, but I have an ear for music. So I felt like I should use that in some way or another. So it was just a matter of getting comfortable with music theoretically, and then, okay, how do you translate musical theory into musical a product.
Right.
So a lot of terrible beats, a lot of honest feedback from people who love me enough to say this is whack. J Kwest, Breathe Easy, a guy named Two, who was their manager, who was like, dude, you need to keep working on it because you're not there. And, you know, just anything. You keep putting the time in and you get the results. So that was really kind of how it worked out.
Yeah. So, like, what is something you would say to producers who would you say the producers who are like what you were at them in between times? Like, because I think a lot of people, they want to produce. They want to do Christian. They may want to produce for Reach Records or whoever it is they feel like they love, but they don't know how to get to them. And then two, maybe the people around them is not like the greatest rappers, or they may not like what they do, but they're Christian. But they like, I'm very particular about my music. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know. So what would you say to somebody like that? Like, you know, I want to get in this game. You know, I want to be heard. But at the same time, I really don't want to just give my jewels away to anybody.
Yeah, that's tough, man. I think I've been fortunate to work with really good artists, and I have had a dilemma where it's just this weird pride thing. Am I too good to work with this artist? And if so, am I blocking an opportunity for this person to preach the gospel, which is really the point. So I would say, work on your craft until you feel like it's worthy for people to hear it outside of your bedroom, first and foremost. So be critical of yourself. Don't feel like you're amazing when you're probably just mediocre. I would start there. And then I would say, figure out how to reach out to people who you think are on par with you, but don't hesitate to help an artist reach their potential. Because somebody's always going to have to reach out and say, all right, I see something in you. Let me help you pull that out, because that's what Jay and Breathe did for me. Had they not encouraged me to keep going, I probably either would have quit, or I'd still be thinking I was making hot music when I wasn't. So have people around you who love you enough to be honest with you, and I think that goes just for our walk in general, but you know, music, to say, hey, is this good? And they tell you no, ask them why. They give you constructive criticism, you can work with that. If people just say it's whack and that's all, then that doesn't really give you much. But you know, have good people around you and do it for you and for God and not for the money, because the money may never come.
Now, who are some of your production influences, and who would you say is the best in the world and in the Christian industry right now?
So my biggest influence is a guy who passed in 2006. His name was Jay Dilla, out of Detroit. An incredible producer, man. And he left a legacy in Detroit that's being picked up by a guy named Black Milk, who's an incredible producer. But DJ Premier, Timbaland, what's the guy's name? High Tech out of Cincinnati, Kev Brown. I have no idea where he lives. I kind of like the boom bap kind of feel. I mean, that's kind of what I did. I'm from the South, but I love New York. You know, Jersey, Just Blaze, all these cats, man. They have a different feel for music.
South dude, right?
Yeah, I mean,
we feel you. This dude.
Ryan and I go back and forth about that.
Asking the question now, right?
You know, so that's what I identify with. So those guys really shape my sound, and you can kind of hear it. And if you listen to the music, you wouldn't think I was from Atlanta based on the music.
That's what's up. That's what's up, man.
So I know the music draws you all in, but you all consider yourselves to be brothers in Christ. What are some of the conversations that you all have when you're behind closed doors or when you're pulling each other up? Like, what are some of the things you all say to inspire each other?
Man, I think, like, just personally, my personal walk these last 3 months has been tough. And so having people who can help you see God's hand in whatever situation you're going through is really helpful. So Jay and I talk about God's will in spite of a storm, or how God's will can take shape in chaos or pain. You know, like, that brother is really theologically.
Oh yeah, we know.
Yes.
I mean, he went to University of Chicago School of Seminary, so he's very well educated. But he also just has a really interesting look on life. So we talk about things like that. I think he's probably more liberal than I am in terms of theology, but we share a lot of ideas about, I think, the social gospel, the idea that the gospel should be in the world and making a difference, things like that. So how do we take our beliefs and make a difference in the community, but also how do we grow and understand what God has for us and what He wants us to do.
Okay, that's what's up. I have a question. Like, a lot of people don't know. J Kwest is dope. Like, we've known about J Kwest. We've done a line for line with J Kwest where we put him against Kanye, and he was good enough to respond back to us and was laughing about it. Like, that's cool. Okay, and he put it on his site and stuff, which was hot. If you had to tell people, because like I said, a lot of people don't know how the Christian rap, like, albums that are good to go pick up. If you had to tell them, which album would you tell them to pick up? R&B or 2020?
Ooh.
Just to get them started, like.
I would say 2020. I would say 2020 because I think 2020 is the most honest depiction of Jay as an artist. Not to say that R&B is dishonest, but when you're doing a mixtape, you're rapping over other people's tracks, it has a different vibe to it, you know. So I think he like spazzed out on a lot of songs. But when you look at a guy who's able to take raw music and shape it into songs that become, for a lot of people, a soundtrack to life. Like So Blessed is still an amazing track. You know, and that song is like 8 years old. I think it came out in 2005, but I think he wrote it in 2004. So that song is still an amazing song. So 2020 to me would be the one to start with. R&B gives you, I think, a greater appreciation for his lyrical ability, and I think R&B is going to be a reflection of his growth and just how talented he really is. So I'm excited about it.
Man, we appreciate you coming out, man. Last thing, what's the next thing we're gonna hear you on? Where if somebody wants to check out your next project that you're gonna be helping on, what's next?
AM/PM, and I may have just misstated the last album. Sorry, yeah, R&B was the second one. AM/PM is the next album. Amazing lyricism, so you can expect a really smooth jazz feel to it. But it's hot, man. I'm excited about it.
That's what's up.
Okay.
Man.
And how can people get in touch with you?
Wow, how can people get in touch with me? I'm kind of hard to get in touch with. You can get in touch with me through J Kwest. So jquest.com.
Okay.
That's nice.
Yeah, that's probably the easiest way. Because I wouldn't put my cell phone number on the radio.
Yeah,
That'd be a bad look.
So now, like, if there was an artist out there and was like, "Yo, I want him on my project," how can they get you?
Oh man,
I guess they could contact us. And we'll pass
yes. Contact these guys, and you can find me. I need to do better with that.
No, we'll help you with that.
Appreciate it.
You need
Yeah,
to be out there, man.
Thank
We
you.
can give out your email.
Yes.
Okay, there we go.
All right, man. You in the field with the track stars, Ryan Righteous, Sean Tanner, DJ Jeremiah. Let's go.